Perhaps two of the biggest security players in the Indo-Pacific region are Australia and Japan, and both have signed an agreement to deepen their security cooperation and facilitate joint drills. To find out more, I spoke to our next guest, Stephen Nagy, International Christian University Professor of Politics and International Studies. Let's take a look.
The reciprocal access agreement between Australia and Japan is not an alliance. It's not a commitment to fight each other. Rather, it is an agreement where they joint train. The Japanese can send their troops to Australia and train with the Australians, and vice versa. It also gives the Australians and Japanese the opportunity to locate resources in each other's countries.
The agreements are not a commitment to fight together, but they are a commitment to train together. Why train together? What are you training for?
Well, I think whatever the security partnership Japan is investing in, whether it's the Australian Reciprocal Access Agreement, the UK Reciprocal Access Agreement, or this new Camp David agreement between Seoul, Tokyo, and Washington, is that the countries are trying to build what we call shared norms, shared human capacity, and shared understandings of how each uses its self-defense forces or its military, so they can work more coherently together in the case that they have to move towards pushing back against an aggressor state within the region. It's really difficult to conceive, for example, Japan and Australia being able to deal with a Taiwan contingency, for example, without deeply familiarizing themselves with each other's command structure, the institutions that they use to provide a defense capability, and an understanding of their counterparts in Australia.
And how do you read such a development? I mean, how significant is it that these countries are taking these steps at the moment?
Well, what we've seen over the past 2 or 3 years is much more assertive behavior by China in the South China Sea through gray zone operations and, of course, building and militarizing artificial islands in the South China Sea. We've seen the military drills around Taiwan, whether it was August 2022 after Nancy Pelosi's visit, or the recent drills following candidate Lai's visit to the United States on the way to Paraguay. Countries are worried about China's behavior because it's going to affect sea lines of communication. Potentially, it could disrupt and force a unification with Taiwan. What would that mean for its democratic institutions? And importantly, Taiwan's place in the semiconductor supply chain. So countries are deeply concerned about what's happening in the region. They understand that if there is a kinetic conflict or a military conflict, that it will not stay in the Taiwan Straits. It will spill over and become a regional conflict.